It is now my pleasure to introduce tonight's distinguished keynote speaker, the Honourable Dr. Hedy Fry. Dr. Fry is somebody that has really supported our initiatives here at Women CyberSecurity Society since the beginning, and we are truly in her debt for supporting us and for backing us as we move and improve the cybersecurity world. So without further delay, I will hand it over to the Honourable Dr. Hedy Fry. Thank you.
As always, it's a great pleasure to be at the events of Women in Cybersecurity. You have come a long way since I first was introduced to you. You have been doing a great deal of work. But before I begin, I just wanted to acknowledge that we are on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh. But as I was saying, you have come a long way. You have been putting on seminars, you are doing mentorships, you're doing workshops, you have actually got your position back up and running, and a lot more people are signing on to it. You've been doing the awards, which I think is really important to encourage women to move their career path forward. You've been out there getting cities across Canada to actually create the, an international World Cybersecurity Day for you. And this has all been great. I think you've been doing a lot. You've just been, what can I say? Lisa, Violin, Kiwi, and Jennifer, you are so passionate about this, and no one can help but being passionate about it too, because you inspire all of us to just go for this. And so you've come a long way, but you haven't come far enough. I think I've been doing a lot of seminars internationally, and one of the things that we've been talking about is how do you move forward to recreate economic growth post-COVID? I mean, post-COVID has done a great deal of negativity for most of us. We're all at home, we're scared, so many people have died, so many people are locked in and isolated in their homes. Women, for instance, have been hit hardest, mainly because women have had to leave their jobs to stay at home, to take care of their parents or to take care of their kids at home. And so they've had to leave their jobs. And then the people on the front lines. I mean, we know about the doctors and nurses on the front lines, but on the front lines, we also have a lot of women who work in the healthcare sector, but aren't paid greatly. They are, they're doing all kinds of things. They have had to deal with risk factors. They have had to be overworked. Many women staying at home to look after their families and their children, or because they lost their job, are facing a lot of domestic violence. It's been a terrible time for everybody. And yet some of the things that COVID did is it did some important things. What it did is it showed us the big gaps in for instance, our system, our social system in Canada here, where we've seen so many vulnerable people actually fall through those gaps. They aren't just little gaps, they're not cracks, they're massive chasms that people are falling into, and many of them are women, many of them are seniors, many of them are the homeless, many of them people on substance use, many of them are single parents who can't afford Wi-Fi so that they can help their children to be at school or be in contact with other people. So it's kind of interesting, but when I go on these seminars, there is a great deal of upbeat thinking. What a lot of people think is besides showing us the vulnerabilities in our system, it means we're going to have to come back and recreate systems that work, that people don't fall in between cracks anymore. But they're also talking about the fact that what COVID has done is it's pushed us very hard, sooner than we expected, into the post-industrial era. In Europe, they're finding that a lot of industries are shutting down. People are sick, they can't go to work, so industries are shutting down. And so they're looking at an era in which, for instance, artificial intelligence and robotics are going to be doing a lot of the industrial work. So we're moving into a space where we're going to have to look at what are the better skills and the new skills that we're going to have to look for. And I think one of them, of course, is STEM. You know, and I know that right now in cybersecurity, for instance, It is said that by 2022, there will be 1.8 jobs unfilled in cybersecurity. And it's very sad because women only make up 11% of those who are employed in that sector anyway. So we're kind of looking at how do we get women and the next wave of young people to get into STEM. Boys are doing it, girls are not as much. And so we need to move forward to get girls into STEM. And it doesn't also only mean that you've got to do mathematics and that you've got to be involved in technology and have science. I mean, what we're finding is that STEM has so many aspects to it, and the cybersecurity in itself has so many aspects to it. I mean, if you think about it, law, if you have a law degree, if you're only looking at law, we need to look at new laws, new legislation, because individual nation states legislation is all very variable and very different everywhere. So people need to understand what the legal aspects of this is. We also need to look at how we get industry and businesses to start thinking about how they protect themselves from cyber attacks and from the problems that they're facing right now at the inception of their products, before they put them online. So there are a lot of people with computer skills that can help them to learn that, also under the law, help them to learn how to do that very well. I mean, I think we're looking at a lot of people who have got arts backgrounds and other backgrounds that don't have anything to do currently with the science, technology, engineering skills. But their skills still can come in to become important as more and more people are moving online to sell their products, etc. And what we really need is to educate Canadians to understand that cyber crime is on the rise. Again, staying at home, and we've seen COVID show us that it's on the rise. And we're looking at things like, of course, we know about the scams, but we know that nation states are against nation states in terms of cybercrime. We know that there's a lot of spying going on from certain nations to others. We know that, for instance, their academia isn't safe because intellectual property is being stolen through cybercrime. We know that industry is trying to protect its intellectual property. And again, there is cybercrime that we need to look at. We've seen health systems break down, people's privacy gone, names online, and sort of blackmail that tends to go down, shutting down health systems and hospitals that we see have been going on. Hackers, of course, are targeting people who don't understand Wi-Fi, don't understand the internet, don't understand cyber, and who are scamming away like mad on seniors and people who don't have any understanding. So we are seeing all of this happening. Nobody is safe. And so we need more and more people to get involved in cybersecurity. And 11% of women, when we have 1.8 jobs going empty in 2022, which is what, a year from now, we need to be able to start that recruitment, that mentoring. I noticed that you guys are doing certification. So there's a lot of work to catch up. And how do we get to young women and say, you've got to get there. These are where the jobs are going to be. They're going to be well-paying jobs. You're not going to be working in systems in which you get paid because it's a service system. You're getting paid low income because of that old pink ghetto. You can get into a system in which you can be paid properly. We can get that wage gap to narrow when women get into these areas. We need to work in schools. I think one of the things we need to do is encourage young women to get into these arenas. And I think that as we move forward, we would find that without knowing it, we're going to be looking at gender parity in the workforce, closing that gap. But it's going to be hard work to get to that point. And I think, one of the things that this new economy will offer is a new set of jobs. Service sector jobs will become important. And when I say service sector jobs, I mean in healthcare systems and in childcare and in daycare and in senior care, because as women go out into the workplace, they're going to need that kind of help. So those jobs are going to rise in importance. And, maybe a lot more men might join nursing. A lot more men might think that childcare is a place we should go, and elder care. So there's a new world opening up here that is going to be this post-industrial era. And I think that, it's important that you continue what you're doing, that you push hard, not only for your generation of women who are trying to build careers, but for young women coming up, young girls coming up. You know, I know that we're trying to get STEM into school systems, into elementary school, get coding in there, but not everybody is going to go into science, into technology, into engineering. It's going to be that people are going to be able to say, I can use all my other skills in the art sector, in the social sector, in the health sector, in the legal sector as a lawyer, to try and build a clear bunch of legal systems that are actually common to many countries, so we don't have to navigate each country's legal system, looking at how we move out into industry, whatever industries we are familiar with, and get them to begin to protect themselves from day one as they put their products out, as they build their own infrastructure. And I think this is some of the things that you are challenged to do. I believe that it is important that governments understand this, that education systems understand this, that all systems understand this, and that we need to start warning people and getting at the front end of all the things that we're seeing happening with cybercrime. Just the simple awareness that nation states are involved in cybercrime, and it's not just hackers, and it's just not just all sorts of people out there who are trying to get people's intellectual property. It is rampant or everywhere. And your time is now, your time is important. And what you do and how you do it, you know, you can count on me to do whatever I can to help. But, you know, that message needs to go out. And I'm hoping that there are enough people on this call, on this Zoom call, that would see that they need to become involved, even if they don't fit into the STEM dynamic and the STEM sector, that there is so much that we can all do to get ahead of what is going to be the new post-industrial era. So I want to thank you for asking me to be here. I want to thank you for all of the work that you have done and are continuing to do, for your passion, your enthusiasm. You have built massive systems and reaching out right now, even amongst yourselves, into since I talked to you, what, 2 years ago last, and things are moving forward. And now what we need to do is to get more signatures on that petition that you're putting forward, get more cities to recognize an International Day for Women in Cybersecurity, and get the message out there and start beginning to get the message that the economy is not going to be what it was in the past. It's going to change radically, and that women might be able to finally get a chance to narrow that pay gap that I talked about. So thanks for listening. Good luck. I've got you back if you need anything from me. And I'm looking forward to seeing your award ceremony and helping women who are starting in their careers to be able to get that sense of pride that they need to get them to move forward. You guys are strong. You are able to do it. And you can show them that women can do everything, dancing in high heels and backwards. We can still do it better. Thank you.